diversity management at schools becomes a globalized educational issue. Nowadays, it's common to see students with dyslexia, ADHD, intellectual or physical disability in our classrooms. And in general, the education departments worldwide support inclusive education with three major types of support measures. They are early identification and intervention, teacher professional development, and funding support. For each type of support measures, I will briefly introduce the situations and discuss their effectiveness. As multiple parties are involved in the process of identification and intervention, timely and effective sharing of SEN students' information is essential. However, the majority of schools in Hong Kong use the WebSAMS database for data management. And the problem is that the WebSAMS system contains mainly students' academic information. And it's difficult for WebSAM users to get students' information about their special educational needs, their dispositions, and other useful information for curriculum accommodations. Furthermore, in the current educational systems, only the school SENCO and a few academic colleagues could have access to SEN students' information, but they may not teach the SEN students. So we believe that if we need to have effective intervention for SEN students, we need a centralized school-based SEN student database. And this database should contain all students' academic and non-academic informations. And some examples of non-academic information include the students' personality traits, the students' behavior, the students' strengths and weaknesses, their learning styles, and their specific types of learning and physical difficulties. This information would be helpful to student support teams and their subject teachers to decide appropriate intervention for SEN students. So this is the first type of support measures. In the past 5 years, only 26% of the schools could complete the basic courses, and 68% of the schools could complete the advanced courses, but only 39% of the school could complete the thematic courses. And 11 schools could not achieve any training targets at all. One of the reasons was that the teachers may lack time and incentive to complete the BED courses on top of their hectic teaching schedules and heavy administrative workload. And for those who successfully completing the courses, empirical studies found that teachers have some misconception about inclusive educational practices. For example, in one case studies, Chen and Yuen find that some teachers believe that individualized materials should be developed for every SEN learner, but this was not the principle for inclusive education. And some teachers may lack confidence to address the needs of every learner in a large class. And from classroom observations, Brighton et al. Noticed that some teachers mainly focus on remedial support to struggling learners in a mixed ability class, and the potential of other students could not be stretched effectively. These problems indicate the directions for improving teacher professional development. One direction is to emphasize the application of differentiated instructions, DI in short, the strategies in the training program. DI is not asking for individual program of instructions. Instead, it highlights the need for carefully designing our learning environment, learning content, learning process, and learning product to address the needs of every learner. For example, if teachers could make good use of questioning, homogeneous or heterogeneous grouping, tiered worksheets, or multisensory teaching or other pedagogical strategies, teachers are in a better position to narrow learner diversity with only one set of learning materials. Another direction is embedding training opportunities into regular school practice. Instead of asking teachers to attend the bad courses outside school, perhaps we could invite some SEN experts or curriculum consultants to join some of the school lesson co-planning meeting to give advice on their pedagogical materials. The last direction is the promotion of cross-school collaboration. Like the learning clusters in Taiwan and the United Kingdom, professional learning communities could be formed amongst the school teachers in Hong Kong to encourage them to exchange pedagogical ideas and experience on catering for learner diversity. So this is the second type of support measures. And for funding support, the major problem we've observed is that some schools may be ineffective in deploying additional financial resources. According to Legislative Council, 45 schools returned the unused amount to the government in 2011, and the amount accounted for approximately 3.5 million. And some empirical studies also noticed that there was some misuse of classroom learning assistants. Some classroom learning assistants were used to perform administrative work for teachers, and they may not have a chance to provide pedagogical support to SEN students in classrooms. To improve inclusive education practice, we believe that it is important to monitor and evaluate the funding use. Particularly, it's important to clarify the roles of classroom learning assistants and familiarize teachers and classroom learning assistants with various collaborative teaching modes so that the CLA could be a partners of classroom teachers. And that's the background of our project. Our project work focus on the development of school-based database, cross-sector collaboration for teacher professional development, and effective use of classroom learning assistants.
Based on these theoretical underpinnings, our team developed an asset-based management for diversity model, and we use it as the theoretical framework of this project research. From the framework, we can see the project takes an infrastructural approach. To be specific, it has an infrastructure with supporting organizations such as funding bodies and ADB officers at the top, the school boards and an array of interdisciplinary professional teams in the middle, and individual agents such as teachers and students in the field. The steering committee of the project and the core group members in school boards, as well as the different professional teams, collaborate and lead from the middle and guide the development of the whole project. The project focuses on the development of DM, that is management for diversity or diversity management awareness in different stakeholders. It aims to enhance schools' capacity to manage student diversity and nurture diverse talents. It also aims at building a culture of DM administration, DM leadership, and a culture of data management within schools, as well as a culture of collaborative professionalism within and between schools. It is crucial that both the development of DM awareness and the building of DM cultures need to be based on three interacting initiatives. That is, providing diversities, maximizing choices, and facilitating collaboration. So for profiling diversity, it refers to the setting up of a student data profiling system. This database system is like a resource bank consisting of various student data. By setting a diversity management platform, students' background information and characteristics can be retrieved easily and visualized clearly, which is beneficial for the designing and analyzing of the DI activities in the school. For maximizing choices, it means providing diversified teaching references and choices by constructing an inventory of DI strategies based on Tonison's framework of 4 key components for effective differentiation instruction. That is, learning environment or affect, content, process, and product. Through co-planning, lesson observation, and co-reflection between teachers and university consultants, good practices of DI are identified, incorporated into the DI strategy inventory, and shared in the professional learning community. It is estimated that through adopting the maximizing choice strategy, students' learning motivation, engagement, academic performances, and self-efficacy can be improved. And at the same time, teachers' DM awareness and DI capacity can also be enhanced. For facilitating collaboration, it refers to the provision of additional support to students by strengthening the training and development of classroom learning support assistants, or CLAs. With the funding support, the participating schools may employ CLAs and invite special education specialists to train the CLAs so that they are able to provide timely and tailor-made support to students who are in need during classroom learning. It is expected that through the cross-sector interactions between the 3 initiatives, students with diverse needs and talents can receive personalized care and support, which will facilitate their all-round development in the school.
Now, let me share with you our preliminary findings. So these preliminary findings are based on the data collected from 2019 to 2020. And we would like to show the changes. We would like to address our key research questions regarding the changes in different groups of stakeholders. Now, the first group of stakeholders we are interested in is school leaders, because we are talking about culture, like the culture building and also infrastructure building. So we would like to see if there are any changes or any impact of the project on school leaders. These are some key statements regarding the school leadership, regarding catering for learner diversity or diversity management. So, for example, whether they lead different teaching departments to formulate DM policies and plans, whether they encourage different teachers or teaching departments to cater for learner diversities, and also the evaluation and monitoring of the development. Now you can see there is an increase in the school leaders reflection, the mean score in the questionnaire at the end of the year. And for the second one, about the encouragement, there's a slight drop, but I would say the score is still high. It's still 4.5, like 4.4, 4.5. So I think that school leaders, we believe school leaders are aware of the importance to encourage teachers to do so. But then after participating in the project, they know more about how to lead and how to evaluate the development or the implementation of any DM policies or implementation plan. So let me share this with you. It's actually a reflection of a principle of a school in the project. Here, we have highlighted some keywords, and this word, I think it echoes the theoretical underpinnings of this study, that is to empower the teachers and also curriculum leaders. From this quote, the principal mentioned his key role is to empower curriculum leaders. For example, providing them with pedagogical capacities through on-site professional support, and also to recognize and appreciate the teachers' efforts, curriculum leaders and teachers' efforts. And he also makes some decisions or provides some measures to facilitate, for example, lesson observation, post-lesson observation, debriefing, and even have a timetabled session for co-planning meetings. So these facilitate the implementation of the reform, of the education reform or intervention, and give teachers sufficient resources and opportunities for participation and for development. Now, for the second group of stakeholders is curriculum leaders. And these are also some relevant statements related to curriculum leadership. So these are mainly subject panel head. For example, whether they lead their subject teachers to design curriculum plans that cater for learner diversity, about the coordinating role, and also the evaluation and monitoring role. So for curriculum leaders, the mean scores in the pre-project and post-project, I would say post-project, but at the end of 1 year, the mean scores changed slightly. I would say changed slightly with increase in most of the statements, apart from the last one, which is concerning assessment practices. I'll come back to this point about assessment practices because we also observe similar findings in teachers' reflection. So for curriculum leaders, they reflect on their maybe enhanced awareness or leadership in coordinating the teachers to discuss instructional designs and also the design of teaching materials. Now, let's share with you these quotes, which will elaborate on the questionnaire finding. These are the Chinese language and liberal studies curriculum leaders in a school, and then they talk about the changes in their mindset and also in their perspective. So when it comes to catering for learner diversity, they used to think that, they used to mainly consider students' abilities. But now they pay more attention to other aspects like students' learning needs, their interests, their learning style. And then when they design lessons, they can think of more different perspectives. Then for the teachers, we are concerned about their awareness, of course, and also the practices related to differentiated instruction or diversity management. Now, you can take a look at these statements. And these statements actually cover whether they set teaching objectives according to students' abilities and needs, whether they select the content, they design instructional activities, and also the assessment. So for the second last statement, whether they encounter difficulties when trying to let students demonstrate their learning outcomes in different ways, it's mainly about assessment. So whether they are diversifying assessment practices. So if you compare the mean score in two different time points, we can see maybe some slight increase in different aspects, but not much. I would say not very noticeable, except the designing of instructional activities and also the collaboration with CLA. And for the diversifying assessment for this statement, actually the teachers reflected that they encounter more difficulties. If you compare the mean score, it means that they encounter more difficulties when trying to diversify their assessment or the ways to let students demonstrate their learning outcomes. So we believe that teachers did gain some insights by collaborating with the professionals in terms of lesson design or material design. But maybe when it comes to assessment, diversifying assessment, it seems to be, this aspect seems to be slower in terms of changes, maybe because of the still our concerns about fairness and validity of assessment practices, and teachers are a bit hesitant when it comes to diversifying assessment practices. But then we can still find some examples in our data. For this, so let's share some quote from the teachers first. So for this teacher, he or she realized his or her awareness of DI was strengthened, and he did mention the use of he did mention assessment design. So he tried to optimize the assessment design to help students to achieve the learning outcomes. So how about students? Is there any potential impact on the student? For this group of stakeholders, we base on a finding, or we share our findings mainly from the reflection of the teachers, evaluation of teachers, and what we observed in the lesson and also student work. So for this, for example, the teachers from this school agree that students have become more active in class. They were more engaged in the lesson, and then, for example, maybe it's because of the teachers' adoption of different questioning skills, different questioning modes. So most of the students can participate in the lesson, and they become really engaged, and they are more willing to answer the question. So let's show you some examples in the lessons. On your left is an excerpt, is a snapshot of a Chinese lesson. So the teachers actually cut the reading text, the long reading text, into different sentences, so that students can follow more easily, or they can unpack the text. And then this text is about 孔明借箭. I don't know whether you can understand Chinese, but it's like a story in history. For some students, it's rather complicated, but then to help them to restore the story, then the teachers ask them to do some artwork, some hands-on activity of like building the ship, and then cutting and building the ship, and then place the arrows, different objects, so that they can restore the story to check their understanding of the text. And on your right is a picture from primary school. It's a general study lesson where the students were learning digestive system. Instead of just showing to students the different organs in the digestive system, the teachers cut all the organs and asked the students to rearrange the order of the digestive system. So students were really engaged in this activity, and they discuss with each other which comes first, which follows. So it's interesting to see. Up to the moment we collected the data, we can see the different initiatives were set up, were established. But we would like to see more interaction among the three initiatives, which may better construct the infrastructure or the culture in the school. And because of the design of the study, we are also cautious when we want to claim any causal relationship between the project and student learning, because we understand that, and even teacher learning, because we understand teacher and students are affected by many different factors. So we are cautious in establishing this. So finally, we would like to conclude with the importance of catering for learner diversity and inclusive education, and we hope that our project can contribute to this by offering by offering a sustainable infrastructure for management for diversity.